if you could repeat for the people who just got on, how much has he gained in lung function and how much weight has he gained?
So he gained 7% in lung function. He gained 6 pounds since December, and he has movement in his ankle and his leg, which the doctor said he had zero movement in December. And he gained strength in his right leg. And that's where it all started, from the right foot drop.
Everyone, welcome to Healing ALS Community Meeting. I'm Scott Douglas, founder of Healing ALS, along with Patricia Tomowski, founder of Healing ALS, and we are here for you. We have built this community of communication together, and we talk about things that are not normally talked about in allopathic medicine, because we believe that people, when they take charge of their own health, they have a lot of advantages to that, not just a small half-loaded toolbox, but natural holistic method, integrated methods, all of the different things that it takes to help you with your gains and functionality. Okay? Today we have a guest, Derek Swinnard. He's an ALS reversal that we have been in contact with him since I think it was either 2013 or 14. And we go way back, and he is one of the troops that have been doing the steady and constant and keeping this disease at bay for years. And he has a lot of information, and his experience is incredible with the things that he has gone through. He's worked diligently with homeopathy, and we got a chance to go up to Canada and sit in on one of his homeopathy sessions, and it was just so much information. It was amazing what we were finding out. Tish, do you want to go ahead and introduce Derek?
Okay, let's get started. Sorry, I just wanted to let everybody know before we get started is we are a nonprofit, non-denominational healing ministry. We believe in physical healing through healing the body, mind, and spirit using both conventional and integrative medicine. We set the intention that this session will give inspiration, ideas, and information that will assist everyone in their healing journey. We are not medical professionals. We are giving education, not to be interpreted as medical advice. We also encourage all of you to join our Healing ALS registry and the US residents to join both the registry and our 1,000-person study. We are up on clinicaltrials.gov. This is a 10-year ALS study. We need as many people as possible, both in the US to join the official study and outside of the US to join alsregistry.org. All of the information about the study is on healingals.org. So I would also like to welcome officially Derek Swinnard. And if you don't know where Derek Swinnard, a little bit about Derek Swinnard, I'm going to give you a little bit of background, but I'm also going to share my screen just so you know how to get to Derek's there. So this is healingals.org. If you click on reversals and you scroll down, you will find Derek right here. And so you can just click on his picture. And he was diagnosed in 1997 at age 45. Oh, it says 45 or 42. Derek, let's fix it. Which one?
At age 45.
45. Okay, so I'll fix that one. And he is still golfing. So this is Derek in basketball. This is him doing some acupuncture. He worked with homeopathists. He's been watching his diet. He exercises, takes supplements. And this is him on doing ALS walks because he does a lot of volunteer work for ALS Canada. So and then this is Derek golfing. And Derek, you are still playing golf today. Is that correct?
I am, yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's the middle of winter. There's probably snow where you are right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Scott, before Derek starts, why don't you just give a quick background of where we met him? We met him in 2014.
Yes, we met Derek in 2014. We met him up in Canada. Um, we had a lot of good talks with him, and he showed us his little town. Now, Derek lives near, I don't know if you all know about the Thousand Island dressing. Well, there are 1,000 islands out near Kingston where Derek lives. And it's amazing how that all started with the Thousand Island dressing in his area of Kingston. So, Derek, can you talk a little bit about your area also?
Oh, Thousand Islands. It's in the Canadian Shield. It's quite beautiful. I golf at a really nice golf course, and it's about 15 minutes away. And I drive along the Thousand Island Parkway to get there. Um, and I joke that some days my two best drives when I'm golfing are the drive to the course and the drive home. So very fortunate, very beautiful area.
All right. Fantastic. Well, Derek has been working with different modalities and things that he's done. I'm pretty sure he's done quite a bit of cranial sacral. He's done a lot of homeopathy. These are some of the things that have made a difference in his life. And so we are honored to be able to have him share these things with us. And so, Derek, can you go right ahead and let us know a little bit about your story? Anything else, Tisha, before we do this?
No, let's let Derek get started. And we're so grateful for you to be here. Look at all the ALS reversals volunteer their time. They also volunteer to have their like picture put up on our website, and we just so appreciate that they're not hiding out and that they'll come out to the public so that people are aware that this is a reversible disease.
Okay, Derek, it's all you.
Okay, thank you. I saw that I was billed as an expert, and that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like I'm an expert. I think many here are probably much more knowledgeable than myself about what's been going on in research, etc. More recently, when my body started going wonky, probably about 33 years ago, um, um, 5 years before diagnosis. I knew something was up, but what I would do, because the internet wasn't quite the same, if I passed a bookstore, I would go in and go right to the health section and look for, what I was hoping would be an answer. Um, I think at the time, I was dealing more with looking more at mitochondrial energy. I've been moving that well, pretty low energy, and I also probably checked out things like joint recovery, like glucosamine. Um, I remember CoQ10 being a supplement I took for quite a while. Oh, I know right now there's a lot more information, a lot more resources, but I think sometimes that can be information overload and make things quite confusing. Now, when I was diagnosed, and I'll get into what I have been doing before, I thought what I did could help everybody. And unfortunately, come to realize that is not the case. Now, my feeling, and I think others might agree, some disagree. I think ALS is a set of symptoms, and nobody really knows why people get ALS. I think there are different variables that can cause it, um, and depending on what is causing it, might make a difference in whether or not recovery can be easy. But through the work of Scott and Tish, I don't want to say, you know, um, there are some that cannot be helped. Oh, one of the resources, back to, I only share my story now. I don't tell people what to do. But one of the resources I did find shortly after my diagnosis was Steve Shackle. And I know he's on this website. And I found his website, not sure how, but if you're not familiar with him, he was diagnosed in 1994. And I thought I would make a website that could help others. And when I found his, I realized he's a whole lot smarter than I am. And what he did was probably a bit more scientific. When I saw something in a bookstore, a health food store, I would take it without, thinking about what else I was taking. I believe Steve, he would take something for a while. He had a scoring system on how he was doing, and if the numbers improved, he had a monthly diary report. Um, if he was improving, he would continue. If he didn't see improvement, he would try something else. And so I think, and he's doing very well now. He's a bit older than myself. Oh, uh, very quickly, my onset. At age 40, I was diagnosed with drop foot, L4 problem, irreversible. Oh, about a year before, I had a doctor check out my knees, and after testing, he said, "Well, you've got Bobby Orr knees." Hopefully, you know who he is, famous Boston Bruin hockey player, and designed for half a lifetime. And I think at the time I thought, well, okay, I've had a pretty good active life. I'll slow down, which I did for a while. I remember being in the gym and pushing myself, and I actually felt better the next day. Oh, when I was diagnosed with an L or drop foot, uh, I didn't want to hear just live with it, which was basically what I was told. Now, when I was told that, I said, well, wait a minute. What if you own a hockey team and I'm your star player? What would you do? He said, I would trade you. And then I said, well, okay, what if I had a no trade clause in my contract? He said, I'll sell more hot dogs. So that told me, okay, I'm not a famous athlete. I'm not a famous celebrity, but I do feel like what you're telling me is what you would be telling those people with a little bit more pull. However, I thought, okay, well, I'm not going to continue living this way. And that's when I thought I'd try other things. I do remember seeing an acupuncturist. Very briefly, and then okay, I'll talk about what I was dealing with before I go on. Um, ALS is a set of symptoms. I have them all. Many I believe have improved, but I check all off all. Now it started with fasciculations, muscle wasting, atrophy, strength loss quite a bit. Um, my voice changed a bit. I'm a retired high school teacher. I would notice it in the classroom. I did have a few swallowing episodes. And trying to think of what other symptom. Oh, spasticity, definitely. That was pretty bad. And something else I didn't realize at the time, PBA, pseudobulbar effect, where um, I would laugh at the silliest things. I would cry at things I normally wouldn't have cried at. Not that that's a bad thing. But anyway, so I did experience all the symptoms. And like I mentioned, it started at 40. I didn't take notes, record anything. Oh, chronologically, I'm going to get a few things mixed up here. But anyways, at the time, I felt like I have a neuromuscular order dealing with the symptoms I mentioned. Now, at age 39, okay, I'll back up a little bit. At age 32, I lost strength probably for about 4 or 5 months. And I felt like, okay, well, it's frustrating, but I guess I'm just getting older. But then it all came back. And at age 39, I was probably as strong as I've ever been. And my ego exercise was bench press. I'm 6'2", about 180, still 180, 185. But I bench 260. Not a whole lot in the weightlifting world, but, for a guy that didn't I was still playing basketball, hockey, tennis, etc. Oh, I wasn't in the gym every day. But at age 41, I struggled with 185. And at age 43, I think I pinned myself trying to do a set of 10 with 135. And then at age 45, I was diagnosed. Now, back to after I was told I had a drop foot, I thought I'd try other things. Well, I did see an acupuncturist. She had a friend who did more Chinese herbology. I saw her for a while. And I ended up seeing her off and on over the years. She got more into auricular treatments where she could test the body using ears. And I didn't understand it, but I didn't understand a lot of things that I was doing at the time. And I know for a while she was getting me on phytogens, and I think they made a difference. Now, okay, while this was going on, I had a routine physical with my family doctor. And in the physical testing, I had very high creatine kinase levels. And he told me one of two reasons: muscle damage or muscle disease. Well, at the time I had been playing basketball up till age 40. Oh, and it wasn't working out so well. So I thought I'd try hockey again. Oh, at the time I was trying to play hockey, but I was falling a lot. I guess my nickname, I didn't hear it at the time, was Zamboni. But anyways, um, and he said, well, don't play hockey for a few weeks and we'll test you again, which I did. And the tests were still very high. Now, that led to more conventional testing. I was referred to a couple of neurologists in Kingston, not far away from where I live. And um, I had nerve induction, conduction test, EMG, evoked potentials, and then finally a muscle biopsy. And the results were inconclusive, but that led to a referral to a specialist. I didn't realize ALS specialist at the time, but a year and a half before my diagnosis. Okay, now back to other things that I was doing. I'd heard about chiropractor not far from where I live, and I knew he had helped a girl that I coached basketball with a knee problem, and I still identified as an athlete, so I thought I'd go see this guy. Now, he checked me out, said my arms are short for my height, one leg's longer than the other, and he felt that it wasn't an L4 problem. I had seized up through my right quad, blocking off nerves. Oh, he started trying to loosen me up, and it seemed to be working, but then he moved. Okay. Now, I tell you this because, and again, I'll leave that part. Okay. Oh, in 1995, my junior basketball coach, where I grew up in Burlington, Ontario, about 3.5 hours from here, was retiring. And not because we went 35-0 that season, but because what a great guy. I felt like, and I hadn't seen him in years, I should pay him the respect of going to the party. And so I phoned a former teammate and said, "Hey, I'm coming down. Mind if I crash at your place?" He said, "No problem." Now, after the party, we went for a walk, and the chiropractor got me on orthotics, and I really didn't like them. And I was telling my friend this, and he said, "Well, I have a different type of insole, and I'll show you when we get back." We're back at his house in the kitchen with his wife, and he pulled out his insoles, and they're flat but with little bumps on them. And I said, "Well, what are those?" And he said, "Magnets." And I said, "Well, what are they going to do?" Now, his wife's all over this, and she said, "Well, stand, and I'm in stocking feet. Put your arm out, and I'll push on your arm." And I could hardly resist. And then she said, "Stand on the insoles." And I stood, and she pushed, and I could resist a lot more. And I'm thinking, hey, she's just not pushing as hard. Anyways, they lent them to me or said, "Hey, try them out for a while. If you like them, buy them." And I did find I had more energy. I was moving better. But they also had me sleeping on a magnetic mattress pad that night and said, "Make sure you drink lots of water before you're going to detox." And again, I thought, whoop-de-doo, what's he going to do? Anyways, I tried it. I ended up buying one. And I know at the time I had a lot of trouble rolling over in bed, and that seemed to loosen up quite a bit. Oh, um, I haven't used magnets in quite a while, and I'm not saying they were the help, but it was something I knew nothing about. And I researched a bit, and apparently in Japan, when people get headaches, they don't take aspirin, they use magnets. Okay. Now, I went back to visit that fall. That was in May. And when I got out of the car, they said, "Get back in. We're going to see a naturopath." And it wasn't far away. Uh, um, he was from India originally, and he did live blood cell analysis, which I had never heard of. Oh, he pricks my finger, takes a sample of blood, puts it on a slide under a microscope, but you can still see your blood cells while they're living probably for about a half hour. What I saw were red blood cells, that many of them kind of beat up, convoluted. He said, "Well, that's free radical damage." I didn't really know what that was, but which is embarrassing because I majored in phys ed, took biology, physiology, anatomy. Anyways, and then and there were other problems, gunk like yeast and fungus, and there were little dots. And he said, "What did you eat before you got here?" And on the way to my friends, I stopped for coffee and a couple old-fashioned plain donuts. And when I told him, he said, "Didn't anybody tell you not to eat fried food?" And he said that, and that's what he saw. That's what those dots were. Now he went back to the back room, came out with some supplements, quite a few, and the cost was going to be $400. And I thought, whoa! But my friends really had a lot of faith in this guy, so I thought, what the heck? Now, I believe what I was taking for at least a month was a liver and kidney cleanse. And I was mega dosing on grapeseed extract, which is a strong antioxidant. Now, I went back, uh, actually, that would have been in the spring. I went back in the fall. And when I looked at my blood, I could see the improvement. Now, physically, how I was doing, I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't know what I was dealing with at the time. But I thought, hey, I've heard of this homeopath, lived about an hour and 45 minutes north of me. And she has helped a lot of people that doctors couldn't help. And because I had tried a couple of things that I knew nothing about, but seemed to be helping, not conventional medicine, I thought I'll give her a try. I went up to see her in November of 95 and had no idea what she was going to do. but I'd read the book, I think by that time, Hulda Clark, A Cure for All Diseases. And she used what's called a biovalence machine, had a zapper, which I tried for a bit. Um, anyways, my homeopath Helga, from Germany originally, um, she she had a machine very similar, and she started probing my hands, putting vials into a metal tray attached to the machine, and did a lot of I had no idea what she was doing. And then she gave me oral supplements and or remedies that she made herself. And I had no idea what they were, what she'd found. But that night, my right leg, and at the time I was experiencing really bad muscle cramps in my calves, hamstrings, feet, sometimes in my hand. That night, my right quad started going crazy. And it wasn't painful like a hamstring muscle cramp is, but and I'm not sure I made the connection at the time. But then I remembered that a chiropractor had identified that part of my body as being problematic. Now, I kind of shrugged it off and thought, well, maybe I'm better now. Now, about a month later, I'm in the gym. I'm doing bench press, but not with much weight. On my left side is definitely weaker than the right. And so I'll go back and see Helga. She tested me, said, you have a virus in your left shoulder. Treated me orally. That night, my left shoulder started going nuts again. I go back in the gym a few days later, still weak, but left side's pretty close to the right side. Now, why I mention all this is I've done different things over the years, and I always look for credibility. And to me, that gave Helga credibility. I found it much more than coincidental that problems in my body were responding to her remedies. Now, I was still looking elsewhere, and I remember going into a science classroom and checking out a case study in a grade 10 textbook on how a young woman was in a wheelchair. And then they gave her, I believe it was folic acid, folate, and she basically almost right away got up and walked. And I thought, well, maybe there's something out there that, is my magic bullet. I get it into my system and everything takes care of itself. And, anyways, that's what probably got me to try anything and everything. And again, back to I didn't use the scientific method. I overlapped things, and I can't tell you specifically what was helping and what wasn't. I do not believe anything was hurting. Now, back to okay, I've already mentioned the naturopath. He also had me do a diet change. He got me off fried food, um, carbonated drinks. I think I was off red meat for a while. And again, I think I've always underestimated what he did for me. And I think in particular the liver cleanse. And I think, well, I know Steve Shackle's website. When I checked it out before, he feels like there's a strong connection between liver dysfunction and ALS. And that's when I started taking milk thistle, burdock root, and NAC. And again, I can't tell you whether it helped or not, but again, I'm still here, so I don't think it hurt. Now, my homeopath, what she initially found was polio, lead, staphylococcus, and something again I think I underestimated were spider bites and issues from them. And more recently, I felt, well, wait, a lot of people think there's a connection between Lyme disease and ALS. Symptoms can be very similar. And I thought, well, spiders, ticks, they're probably related somehow. And their bites, I mean, with what we're pouring into our environment right now with toxins, etc., if they're eating leaves and then biting people, I'm sure those toxins, bacteria, likely we're absorbing them. Oh, again, those two I think really helped me a lot. Now I've continued seeing Helga for I guess it's 30 years now, and I would say over that time, probably seen her between 150 and 200 times. And she's always trying to improve what she does. The way her remedies are quite a bit different now, but they're still her own. And I think she is probably the main reason why I'm still here. Unfortunately, she's in her 80s now. Doesn't have an assistant. It is kind of hard to get in touch with her. And again, previously, people I've seen her haven't had the results that I have. Whether or not they just stopped too soon. Way it was put to me is the body's kind of like an onion, and there's different layers of problems, and sometimes the main problem is a few layers deep, and until you get rid of the other layers, that problem can't be eradicated. Now, hang on here. Took my glasses off. Oh yeah. Okay. Now, more recently, okay, some things that I've been doing. Um, I discovered, and again, I read about this when I read Helga Clark's book, A Cure for All Diseases. Now, she's also written A Cure for Cancer, and A Cure for All Diseases. I must have had ALS by then or been diagnosed. Because there was a section on ALS, but I found with her is she used a lot of what Royal Rife was doing back in the 30s and 40s. And he was a doctor dealing primarily with cancer. Now, his premise theory was everything has its own natural frequency. And if you were to hit the frequency of a pane of glass, it would shatter. And he felt pathogen, which are the main cause of disease and illness, um, they have their frequencies. And he felt if he could put those frequencies through the human body and kill them, then the body would heal itself. And so I was familiar with Royal Rife at the time. I think he had a zapper. Hulda Clark had a diagrammatic uh, Radio Shack parts, and I put one together and used it for a bit. And again, can't tell you, but if it helped, but it didn't hurt. And so when I saw frequency healing on the internet through a company named Spooky 2, uh, which to me is a terrible marketing name, but there's a connection. See, when Royal Rife was doing this, my reading was he had 14 patients with cancer, and he treated them frequency healing, and 12 of them were cured of cancer. Now, he wasn't doing what other doctors are doing, and we won't get into that, but they kind of kicked him out. And so, but the technology has been improved upon. And one thing I didn't realize that Rife was doing at the time, he was doing remote healing. And this involves quantum physics, which I know very little about, and I don't think most people do. But a guy by the name of Einstein checked this out, and he said, well, that's kind of spooky. He didn't say it's balderdash, he said spooky. Now, what he was doing was, and this is the quantum physics DNA entanglement. My machine, which I've had about 3.5 years, there's something called a remote hooked to the generator, and it's all, solid state. But I put a thumbnail in it, which is my DNA. And when I run programs, and there are many, many, depending on what ailment you're dealing with, um, those frequencies can find me anywhere on the planet, okay, which is pretty out there. Um, now, I can't say it's helping a whole lot other than I had a really stubborn rash. And when I used their frequencies, it went away, came back, and then I tried different frequencies probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and the rash has never come back. What I use it primarily for now is I feel like the ALS has stopped, but there has been damage. And I'm sure motor neuron, you know, if they died, they stopped working. And now I'm reading more and more. These can be regenerated. I'm doing more nerve regeneration back to mitochondrial energy. And more recently, in the last couple of months, actually, I've been taking peptides for about 4 months and by injection. A friend of mine who I golf with was complaining he was feeling kind of, sore and achy. And his daughter was quite knowledgeable in peptides. And he started taking them, and all of a sudden he's feeling better, hitting the ball better. I'll give these a try. Oh, I saw her been injecting them for about 3.5, 4 months. And again, can't say if I'm noticing improvement. Yeah, I haven't played hockey, played basketball, played tennis in probably 30 years. The sport I play is golf. And in Canada, during the winter, I don't golf. Oh, I won't know until I get on the golf course, hopefully within a month, whether or not it's helped my golf game. However, probably about 2 months ago, a developer of Spooky 2, and he writes a lot of the program, him and a team, and it took 8 years, now have programs where you can take peptides by remote, or sometimes they use like TENS pads and use contact mode. There are other modalities. Oh, well, I've been doing that, and it's early to tell, but I think they're making a difference. Now, other things I did want to talk about before questions. Um, I have discovered that there are some things in my life that are quite important, and they all start with the letter G. Okay. Now, the three trivial ones are golf, guitar, which I like to play. I'm more into electric now than the acoustic guitar. You'll see I still play it. And I go to the gym. Okay. Now, the three more important ones that start with the letter G are God, grandchildren, and gratitude. Now, here's my little joke. Also, Jesus. Okay. And I am a believer. I don't go to church. I kind of taken the middleman out. I do try and read a chapter every day. I will confess that a lot of it bounces off my eyeballs. Fortunately, one of my best friends in life, next to my wife, I'll say, is born again. He went back to school a number of years ago to be a minister, which he does Bible study groups. Anyways, he knows the Bible better than anybody I know. It is his life conviction. And when I have questions, we have conversations. We go back to 1970 when we met in first year phys ed at Queens, and we did a lot of crazy things back then. And we try not to talk about the past, but we do talk golf, and I do ask him questions, and he clarifies a lot of what I still don't understand. Uh, oh, anyways, which leads me to something else I've said before. Um, well, one decision I made, which I might regret, when I was diagnosed, I asked my wife that we not tell anybody. See, I've been doing alternative for about 2 years before, and I felt things were improving, but the testing obviously wasn't showing that. And it scared me. It scared me a lot. But I asked my wife that we not tell anybody, including our daughters who were in high school at the time, because I felt I was improving, but and I wanted to tell them when I was better. Okay. And so about 2 years after my diagnosis, and I'd already told my daughters uh, because I had mood swings and I could be a jerk at times. And my wife finally said, "You got to tell them why." Okay, and that was a difficult conversation, but and I didn't go public, even though I told a few friends, until my third anniversary of my diagnosis. And I told it at my high school. It was on a Friday, December 8th, 1997 when I was diagnosed. This would have been December 8th, 2000. And a friend of mine, teacher, foods and hospitality teacher, I had him put together stacks. I brought some homemade wine. And I told them what I was dealing with. I know a lot thought maybe MS, Parkinson's, man. I'm not saying one is better or worse than the other, but I think ALS definitely is a front runner. Oh, when I told them, see, a year before, I was September 10th, 1999, I had a dream. Now, before the dream, probably about 2 weeks before, I came home one evening. I went on the back deck. It's night, dark, but I looked up and I said a prayer. And in the prayer, I said, "Hey, I would like another chance. Um, and could you either make me better or get this over with?" And there was a lot of plea bargaining as well. And you can imagine what sort of things I was praying for. About 2 weeks later, September 10th, I was at a coaching clinic, and that night I come home, go to bed, go to sleep, and I had a dream. And in the dream, I'm walking into kind of a bar restaurant, and it's quite empty. But a guy came up to me and said, "Hey," and I thought I recognized him, and he said, "Hey, Derek, how you doing?" Couldn't recall his name, so I said, "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" Now, as the dream, the room got more and more crowded. And I'm kind of self-conscious because the floor was uneven, and I'm a little nervous about somebody bumping me and me bumping into somebody else. Now, somebody tapped me from behind, and I didn't turn to look, but his hand came, or hers, um, and all that was in the hand was a note. And so I took the note, opened it up, and all that was written on it was Psalm 30. And I had memorized Psalm 23 in Sunday school, but I know I had never read Psalm 30. Now, when I got up, I was going to the basketball clinic, but I thought I better check this out. I found one of my kids' Bibles, read it, and I could not believe what I was reading. And if you do read it, think about what I prayed for and what this Psalm passage was saying to me. And I defy anybody to find anything that would answer my prayer better. Oh, I did want to include that. The other thing, more technical, I guess. In the early 2000s, I heard about a chiropractor, different one, that was helping a friend of mine. Went to see her, and she found 3 blockages in my spine. Now, what I didn't realize, I figured, well, you fix your spine, takes away back pain. Well, what I wasn't thinking of was the spine also has nerve supply, obviously, and it supplies internal organs. And I believe she helped free up the nerves that were going to my adrenals. And I know I had some episodes where, again, back to PBA, but where I really felt out of sorts. And I think it was adrenal failure. When she did this, I do feel like my health improved. Physically, as far as moving, I'm not sure. I do feel like I move better today for my age than I was back then. Now, the other thing I've dealt with is I had a knee replacement a little over 2 years ago. Now, my knee went on me 5 years ago this August. And the previous May, see, our golf course had opened in early mid-April. And I played for 2 weeks, and that's when COVID had hit already. And our Premier of Ontario shut down all golf courses, I believe only place in the world where you couldn't golf, for 5 weeks. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try running. And I use the term loosely. I live across the street from the high school, went over the track. I would run 100, walk 100, run 100. And I think I did it 6 or 7 times. And that it's starting to hurt. And I think that's what aggravated my knee. And so that was in 5 years ago, 2021. Had been through, COVID for a bit. And then I really couldn't walk properly. And it was painful to get up for over 2 years before my replacement. It's been very slow recovering. It is improving. It's taken a lot of time. It's frustrating, but I can golf. And again, I do physio. I go to a chiropractor, osteopath. I have massage. So I do those things. I'm very fortunate that healthcare covers a lot of it. Supplements, definitely not. Right now, I'm taking vitamin C. I've taken that pretty much consistently over the years. At one point in time, I read about Linus Pauling and his feelings on vitamin C. And I know I was taking 14 grams orally a day for a while. I'm also taking vitamin B complex, magnesium complex, vitamin B12, and I put honey in my tea, coconut oil in my coffee, and I drink the occasional swig of olive oil. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm guessing there's other things, but I tend to ramble, and I think for now my rambling's done. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was muted. That's
I hear you.
fantastic, Derek. Great story. Oh my gosh. I mean, the different things and that you had gone through. And I really think that it was important that you did finally share with your family. That time that you were not sharing, you were harboring, and you were that brings even more
Yeah.
tension. And I think that was so important as a release to finally let this out.
That's why I do regret. Now, you're familiar with Gaber? I believe last name is Mate or Matt,
Gabor Mate,
psychologist.
yeah.
He interviewed me about 10 years ago, and I forget the details of the interview. But tonight, him and some other, I guess they're psychologists, psychiatrists, are offering a free webinar on trauma and how it affects the body physically. Now, something else, I read a post on a different ALS group yesterday, how people were talking about when they feel stress, how the body responds. And just the thought of doing something and all of a sudden the arms feel heavy, and those sort of physical responses to stress. Now, one thing I've dealt with for years, I don't do slippery very well. And in Canada, we have more freezing rain now, which I try to avoid. But if I'm ever walking and I perceive things to be slippery, my eyes start to water. And that's not a good thing when you're on a slippery surface. But that's a bodily response, I guess, I have to being nervous about falling. I've had a number of falls over the years, fortunately, most of them on a golf course and usually in the fairway. Landing's been soft, and I've had some others. I seem to be able to still bounce, not as well, but I do find when I second guess myself, I did see a documentary years ago, but a guy with a Parkinson's disease. He walked not too bad, but then they put things on the floor and he froze. And I know I still do the same thing. If I happen to be in the rough and the footing is not good, I will look and I need to kind of pace out where I'm going to step. And that can be a bad thing when you overthink things. And I probably see when I first started dealing with my body going wonky, my brain didn't know why. And I was still trying to do things my body probably wasn't capable of. Now, when my brain found out what I was dealing with, it's probably been a little overly conservative in allowing me what to do. Now, I go to the gym and I do the routine exercises that I've always done, but more and more I'm trying to do, and I see reels on Facebook for like Tai Chi, like toe taps and sliders, stepping back and forth. And I know I still struggle with those, but I think a lot of it is confidence, where I don't allow my body to go beyond where I think it can go. And then when I try it again, hey, I could go farther. Now, I apologize. I didn't want this to be so much about me. I realize I'm an anomaly, an outlier. Hopefully, some of the things, like blood cell analysis, I believe, is it's a great window into your health. If you've got other health issues going on, I think they all add up. ALS is not the result of just one variable. It's a combination. And as Scott just said, stress. And referring back to Steve Shackle, I remember two important things. I've already mentioned liver dysfunction. The other thing is he had a theory, and he doesn't lay it out nearly as well as his original website. He has changed it. But he said, why do some people get ALS and others don't when exposed to basically same environmental, variables? And he said, well, probably three variables, two of them being more viral pathogenic, the third one being stress. And if you have any two of the three, your body will probably overcome whatever is going on and heal itself. But it's when you deal with all three at the same time, concurrently, that the body says, I give up. And that's when disease, not just ALS, can find its way.
Very interesting that you say that because Dr. Gabor Mate actually has a book that he titled When the Body Says No. It just reaches a point, and that's
Critical level.
right. That's
Yeah.
important. That's amazing. Well, great talk. Oh, Derek, fantastic. Well, I love your story and the fact that you have still managed to stay active through all that. You kept trying to exercise. I remember when you spoke at our 219 conference, you jumped on the stage And you said, "Hey,
Well,
I wanted to challenge myself," or something
yeah,
like that, to that effect that you had said. And
I
so,
don't think it was a jump, but I made it up. Yeah. Now, I have told people this, okay? I do not have any superpowers, but my one, I won't call it a superpower, is the ability to adapt. Uh, as I mentioned, I've been on skates for a long time. Uh, I do look for other things. I know right now, fault. I spend too much time on Facebook, but it is the winter. I'm not outside nearly as much as I would like to be. But sometimes I feel like I'm getting complacent. And I want to thank you for asking me because this is motivation to continue working at it, uh, even though it can be frustrating at times. And I guess for other people, to me, the important thing is to be proactive. I know so many that have listened to their neurologist, and we're all told, go home, get your affairs in order. Unfortunately, many do. Now, back to supplements. I can't tell you which ones have helped, which ones haven't. But I know anytime I try a new one, my body seems to respond in a positive way. And I know it's probably more psychosomatic, but hey, is that a bad thing? The brain can do a lot of healing we're not aware of. Now, the other thing I'll mention, what I did, my spasticity was a lot worse early. And I did say acupuncture probably 65 times in a half year, which helped. And then I backed off and I see others occasionally. But I would listen to music because I had trouble tapping my left foot. And I would put a song on one day. Well, it was Cream. Um, oh, not Crossroads, the one before, and it was slower. And then I would tap to it, and then I put Crossroads on. It's pretty quick beat. Regarding music, I think when you listen to music from when you were young and things were good and you were healthy, your cells remember that.
yes.
And whether or not they say, I want to be like I used to be, I can't prove it, but I think listening to music that makes you feel good, reminds you of your youth, can be beneficial.
Yes, and Mark Manchester mentioned that also. I mean, your cells do something when you listen to an old classic music that you used to love, and your body seems to go back to that younger mode on the cellular level. These cells have memories, and it's just amazing. I think that's very important to, refer back to some nice music that you loved when you were younger and revitalize the memory of these cells going back. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. So Derek, thank you so much for coming. We're going to get to Q&A in just a minute. So make sure you put your questions in the chat and we'll answer them in the order that you put in. I just wanted to kind of give a quick summary. I was taking some notes while you were talking. One of the things that I noticed is that you were really open to trying anything and everything. If it made a certain amount of sense, you're like, sure, you're not going to hurt me. It's not that expensive. Let's give it a shot. And you did quite a bit of that. And then the things that you found responsive, then your intuition said, hey, let's just keep doing this for a while. Then you do it for a while, and once it stopped helping, you'd stop. And some of the things you just kept going. So some of the things you tried were magnets. You went to see a naturopath. You changed your diet because you saw the live blood cell analysis and the effect on it. You tried homeopathy. You tried acupuncture. You listened to music. You read anything and everything. You were reading books and going on websites, and you found Stephen Shackle, and you added supplements that you read about. You really did this combination of things that made sense to you both before you were diagnosed and then after you were diagnosed. So that's kind of a little overall. Did I miss anything? Oh, prayer was another one. Talk to God. Had some nice, important conversations with God about your disease and your progression. And anyway, one of the deals that you made with God is I know that you give back, and you have been giving back. You volunteered for us. You're out there as a reversal. You volunteered for the Canadian ALS Association. Anything you want to add before we go to Q&A to my summary?
Yeah, there was something I had regarding trying. Oh, I know. The people over the years, the people that I find are less likely to heal, or their caregivers are less create this environment, are the ones that are more scientific, that look at scientific method. Has that been done using a double-blind study, etc.? And I know there's science behind what we're doing, um, but it's the ones that are going, well, I'm waiting for the next drug. And when I was diagnosed, the only one out there was Williazole. When I checked it out, it said 3 extra months, and I am probable harm to the liver. And I went whoop-de-doo, you know. And so, and there aren't many, isn't much out there anymore or now, anyways. Oh, yeah, I know a lot of what I've done. I mean, I'm a testimonial. I can't prove anything other than maybe I've been naive, tried different things, got lucky. It's a crapshoot. But back to, and I'll refer to a neurologist, Boris Salmi. He, a famous hockey player from Sweden, a Hockey Hall of Fame, played for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was diagnosed about 3 or 4 years ago with ALS in Sweden. And his neurologist said, until we know the cause of his ALS, okay, we won't know how to treat him. Now, he unfortunately passed away about a year or two ago. But that reminds me, the neurologist I see about once a year now. He wasn't the one that diagnosed me. He doesn't check me out much. It says, keep doing what you're doing. But last year when I saw him, he said, you know, we're not doing a very good job of solving ALS. Maybe we need to start thinking more outside the box. And he actually had me talk to some medical students of his about what they had done, probably similar stories to today. Unfortunately, there was supposed to be Q&A, but I ramble on, so there wasn't much time for that. Anyways, hopefully there's a bit more time for questions now.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, and look, by the way, I don't think there's any excuse. Keep doing what you're doing is no longer an excuse of what you need to say. Hey, Mr. Neurologist, doctor, how many ALS patients do you have? And he might say 100. And I say, okay, then it's your job to find out what I did. Because there are dozens of you right now that have stopped or slowed your progression or even reversing your progression. And your doctors keep saying, keep doing what you're doing. Please stop them and say, how many ALS patients do you have? It's your job to find out. That is their job because they could possibly be helping a lot of other ALS patients. The other thing is to send them over to healingals.org because we now have scientific validation. If they're looking for a study, we've got one. We did a 45-person study and we're doing a 1,000-person study right now. We're up on clinicaltrials.gov. So there's no excuse anymore. We got into the Journal of Neurology last year. So, there is science behind what we're doing.
Can I have one more thing, please? About 12 years ago, I was at a conference in Toronto. I was there because I was on the Kingston Walk for ALS committee, but there was a research council meeting going on at the same time, and I was asked to speak. That was on Sunday and probably right before lunch, I forget. Oh, but in the hallway or foyer, there was a lot of young grad students, probably neurologists, and they all had what they were researching in the hallway, and it was all Bristol board and whatever gene they were studying. It was like a science fair for really smart kids. Now, in my talk towards the end, I said, I'm going to use the analogy of an old black and white TV set. And remember the days where the vertical hold would go. And you'd have to get up out of your chair, go to the TV, and wiggle it a bit, and you get your picture back. And then I said, sometimes I get the feeling you're trying to solve ALS one pixel at a time. Maybe there's a control knob, you tweak it, and everything else takes care of itself. As far as a cure, I think there will have to be many cures, or they're going to find something that just doesn't cure ALS, but other diseases where whatever it is gets rid of whatever is causing the problem and allowing the body to heal itself.
Right. That's so important because when we were in Montreal, I had a conversation with one of the very well-known doctors up there, and all of these papers that were out there, majority of all of them, at least 80 to 90%, were all genealogy research, okay, from a neurologic perspective. And so I just mentioned to him and said, what if this was more metabolic than neurologic as a disease? I mean, that would change all of this other work that you were doing if you just view it from a different perspective. His face went tomato red and he stared at me and he just said, I will get back to you, and literally walked off. And so he didn't want to continue that conversation. Why, I don't know, but we came across a lot of strange things when Tish and I were at the international conference up there on ALS. Very
I
interesting.
don't have a lot of fun things to say about some of the neurologists I saw. And in my talk to the medical students, I did mention, an important quality is, bedside manner. And the problem quite often is arrogance.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I think it's really important that people know. So we're gonna go to Q&A right now. So let me
Yeah.
take a look at this. So Kathleen we're gonna grab the questions that specifically work with about Derek. So the Jubilee, we're gonna have the Jubilee people on the 24th.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Did you ever take any MCT oil? Ada's
Oh,
asking.
yeah. It goes in my, what do I'm, my drink smoothie right now is protein powder, MCT oil. I just ran out of something. I forget what now, but and almond milk. I take that every morning. Yes.
Okay, great. Magnets, the question about magnets, yes, not maggots, magnets. Thank you. MAGNETS. Derek, they would like to know, what do you think helped you the most in your healing?
Definitely my homeopath. I believe she got rid of what was in me, I mentioned previously. And once that was eradicated, I think the progression stopped. And now I'm dealing still many years later with the aftermath, but I am getting older too, and that's a good thing.
Okay. Do you have a list of supplements? Actually, if you can think of if you think of like a few that really helped you, write that down. And then what we'll do, maybe you can text them to me and I'll add them, even though you don't remember, you don't know which ones helped and which one don't, but you can just give me a list and I'll add it to Derek's ALS reversal article. But if you want to
Just
mention,
off the top of my head, probably the most important one was antioxidants. I mentioned grapeseed extract. I've taken alpha lipoic acid. I've taken resveratrol. I think it's important. And again, that's where, and I know they're hard to find, but live blood cell analysis will tell you if you've got free radical damage by your red blood cells looking all beat up.
great. Thank you very much. And we will add some more to to Derek's ALS reversal. We'll just do that within the next few days. So thank you, Derek. Oh, Kathleen says, I'm printing out Psalm 30 right now for pals that I it says, thank you so much for sharing that story. Fantastic. Okay. Nikki's asking, I would love to know about restoring balance. Can you think of the thing that maybe helped you restore your balance the most, or is just a combination?
Oh yeah, I'm working on that quite a bit right now. See, I'm guilty of when I go to the gym, I do the fundamental exercises, bench press without a bench, or I sit, push away. Um, but and I've done physio over the years, and I call them piddly exercises, but they're the important ones. And I'm trying to do those. I'll go to the gym 2, 3 times a week, but on the days I don't, I'm trying to do work more on hip strength, glutes, etc. And I think they're the really important ones. Now, I also have a balance board, which I haven't been using enough. It's called a 60 up, and the digit 60 up. Um, and it's got handles. And I find when I use it, I really have to focus, and I think it helps the brain connect to the muscles that are necessary to do that movement. And so I would say right now, and I get back to my knee replacement, my problem with legs, I think I lost a lot of strength um, because of inactivity over a number of years. And I'm trying to do what I call the piddly exercises more now, which I think will really help a lot.
Fantastic. Do you do cranial sacral? Michelle would like to know.
I saw a lady many, many years ago. I think I saw her twice that did it.
Okay, great. Chris mentioned that you were taking vitamin B12, B complex, and magnesium, coconut oil, and honey. So we'll add all of those as well to Derek's list.
Yeah.
We'll do that, Derek, as you think of things, just text them to me on Telegram and I'll add
Yeah.
them to your list. How's that? Okay, yes, we can do a written transcript of this. Thank you, Jose, for asking. Have you ever used peptides?
Well, I use them. I mentioned that I've used them for 4 months by injection, and now I'm switching over. Other than one, retatrutide, you only need to inject it once a week. But I'm using my Spooky 2, and I'm running. Actually, right now. The frequencies are more adrenal balance and hormonal balance right now.
Okay, great. I think I asked this, I forgot. Did you do cranial sacral?
Yes.
Yeah, I've only done it twice.
Twice. Okay. Lots and lots of thank yous, Derek.
Is your neurologist at Sunnybrook?
No, no,
No.
he's in Kingston. I was diagnosed in Toronto, not at Sunnybrook, but Toronto General. I saw this neurologist. I won't mention her name. She's one of the ones that had a problem with arrogance. I saw her 4 times, 6 months apart, starting a year and a half before she finally diagnosed me.
Okay. As far as where to get the Spooky 2, just look it up. There's a lot of places and you need to go shopping depending on where you are in the country or which country you're in. Lisa's asking, did you get tested for mold or mycotoxins?
Not that I'm aware of, no. And I don't think neurologists would test for that.
Right, but they can go to a functional doctor and get tested for those.
Yeah, okay. Um, I have seen one functional. He was an MD most of his career. I didn't find him overly helpful. I might contact him again and see if he's got tests for that.
Yeah. Okay. Alan, thank you. Just what we do know from this is that ALS has many, many, many causes. Sometimes it's heavy metals. Sometimes there's just so many different causes. Lyme, about 90% of people with ALS also have Lyme. As Derek mentioned spider bites, infections. There are just all sorts of different causes. So there is no one cause that we know for sure. I think Dr. Cowden mentioned 48 possible causes for ALS, and the average person with ALS has about 15 of those causes. So you've got to treat all of the causes. Marna is asked, Derek, which ALS related difficulties do you have now, today, and how do you deal with them?
All right. One thing I can do, and I forget when I stop being able to do it, is get up on my toes. Okay. And that's not as critical as I also can't get into a push-up position where I'm on my toes. And what it makes it difficult doing is bending over and picking something up. And so my focus right now with a physio, etc., is trying to somehow loosen up my feet. But I think part of it is I'm also very tight through my calves. And I would think the tendons, Achilles tendon, etc., that run to the feet, if I can loosen those up, maybe my feet will loosen up as well. And I'll be able, and I can't hop. And I stopped riding a bike quite a few years ago, not because of that, but I was having trouble getting my leg over the seat, and I was mountain biking a bit. And so when you have to stop and get on and off, it got too difficult. But also getting off, you know how you'll hop a bit if you lose your balance? I couldn't do that. I would just go down.
Okay, fantastic. Val's asking, did you you explained what kind of peptide injections? Did you do subcutaneous or intramuscular?
Subcutaneous and BPC 157, pretty popular. Uh, T TB 500, G, the copper one, retatrutide, only once a week. And there were SS1, 31, I forget.
But you had already reversed before you started doing peptide
Oh,
injections.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to be very clear.
See, what I'm trying to do now, um, I mean, it might be progressing, but I'm getting older. I'm still trying to get better. I would say right now, looking at what I do in the gym and movement, I might be 60 to 70% of what I think I could be. I'm trying to get improvement.
Okay, fantastic. And also, at 73, we're all getting older. So we want to have health and longevity. So you guys are trying to heal that have ALS, but really, overall, we also want to just increase overall wellness. So it's important to be able to keep,
Now,
you've got ALS or
the
not.
other thing too is, see, I started doing things about 2 years before my diagnosis, and I was seeing positive results. And I'm sure a lot of people here, whether or not, it's part of lifestyle for many, but if you weren't doing anything to try and improve before the diagnosis, it's a kick in the stomach. And I felt that kick, but for somebody, that wasn't already doing something towards getting better, it's a bigger kick. And that adds stress. And it's easy to say, but you have to try and be as stress free as you can because it will compound anything else that's going on.
Yeah, great. Giovanni said all the little things help. Absolutely. That's what we find. Lisa said you were very discouraged because you've got mold. We have a ton of people that have major mold and they have been able to reverse it. So please go to the recordings on how to detox from mold and mycotoxins and also make sure that you're not getting any more incoming mold. That's very important. In fact, we are doing the mold, the air step, how to make sure that your home is clear of mold. We're actually doing part of that this Thursday. So please come on Thursday. And so I think that's maybe, and then Lisa's also asking, how did you get better? Can you walk? Obviously you can walk because you're walking around the golf course.
I do take a cart. I can walk. My feet are giving me problems. I'm having trouble finding shoes that are comfortable. I've gone to barefoot shoes. They have a wider toe box and zero drop, and I think they're going to help. But my feet are probably my biggest issue right now.
Okay, great. We'll have a conversation afterwards about because people are finding out if they go on keto, a lot of times their feet are improving. So that's just another ketogenic. That's another thing to look into. Let me see if you've got any more. Again, we already answered what was the most effective. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. And even inadequate recovery, Alan, for sedentary lifestyle, we have athletes and Derek is an example. He was exercising very regularly, was on a bunch of teams. This is not a sedentary person at all. And he was a basketball coach. So believe me, he didn't have a sedentary lifestyle. So, it may be one of the causes, but certainly not for the majority of people. Most of the people are fairly active who are getting ALS. In fact, athletes are slightly more active. I'm wondering if it's because of magnesium deficiency. They're more likely to get ALS, not less likely. Yes, the ALS causes, go check in the 47 steps, please. They are listed. I don't remember exactly where, but if you come on Thursday, we will let you know.
And somebody just posted inadequate recovery. Something I kind of ignored in the gym. I would push myself to exhaustion. And even though, the weight wasn't as much as I'd like, I would push myself. And what I've noticed, and it's been happening for probably ever, is it takes me a day or two to recover. And but more recently, I'm feeling it a bit more than I was. So I'm not pushing myself as hard. And I do know the recovery period. See, I have read that if you've got ALS, don't do any weights. Now, what I used to really enjoy, unfortunately, I sold it before COVID. I had a Bowflex machine. And that type of resistance, I think, is really good, where it's both, the eccentric, concentric contraction, through the whole range of motion, you're feeling tension. And I regret selling my Bowflex. It would have really been useful during COVID.
Okay, well, we are getting close to the end. Thank you so much, Derek, for coming. Alan mentioned lymphatic dysfunction. Absolutely, lymphatic dysfunction is a big issue. And please go to the lymph section of 47 Steps if you want to read about that. Same thing with depressed immune system, how to improve your immune system. That's also in the 47 Steps. Lisa, thank you for the My Mycolab serum test. And please don't get discouraged. Your regular neurologist, your regular conventional doctor does not know how to treat mold, but please go to 47 Steps to find out how you treat mold, how you detox from mold. And we have had many, many people with mold poisoning get better, including those with ALS. We had one person with ALS and as soon as they got the mold out of their home, they stopped the incoming mold. They started improving and they have since reversed ALS. So please, this is really important. Alan, please, I private messaged you. Please check your private message on the chat. And I think that's it. Scott, I think we've finished and we can do goodbyes. But mostly, Derek, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Derek. This has been wonderful. And it's amazing what you have done in your life over the longevity period of time. And I say that most people that have recovered from their ALS, they're still working on something. It's always a little something there. And I say that that's just God giving you a reminder of what you've gone through. So that's amazing. Thank you for Psalms 30.
Well, I picked up a few good points just from the responses, questions, and I appreciate that.
That's great. Oh, Wani, I missed the CPK question. Ask it next advanced Q&A, which is next Tuesday with Dr. Lee Cowden. He will explain to you about CPK levels, and anyone who wants to be invited to advanced Q&A, we have basic Q&A that's right on the events page. Advanced Q&A, you need to fill out alsregistry.org within the past 2 months, and you will automatically get an invitation to advanced Q&A. We really want to encourage everyone here to make sure that you're doing the registry every month. The Canadians, the rest of the world, please do the registry. The Americans, please do the registry, and also join the official, put an application in for the study. So thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great. And somebody mentioned about L-serine and BMAA. I mean, I think the purest form of the L-serine that I've been able to get was through the LEAP. He has a very pure form of L-serine, which should be taken in very, very small doses. It's the straight stuff, which is very powerful. Okay, we're going to have to go because we're going to end up stopping the recording. Thank you much, Derek, so much for being here. Thank you. And I hope a lot of people in your own personal journey, there's always some tidbit of something in every talk that we do that can help you along your ALS journey. So bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for being here. Bye, John. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for being here, Alan and Maria. Thank you, James, Rosa, Schumann family. Thank you for being here. Mark Spry, hey, the years have been kind. I see you there again. This is fantastic. The Long family, Valentina, Bruce, Lisa, Jackson, Darrell, Debbie, Micah. Thank you so much for being here. Adolph, thank you for being here. Thanks so much, Kim, Bruce, Brian, Kelly, Scott, Justin, Karen, David, Bruce, I mean, again, Michelle, Kim, and John. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have to get going. So bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.